Good morning. Thanks for joining us on the press. Today is the 13th of February. Yes, indeed, tomorrow is Valentine's Day. I wonder how prepared you are to show loved ones how much you care. I know we don't usually need to wait for Valentine's Day, like on the 14th, or on Christmas Day, or on specific days to show love. It is important to show the people around you how much you care for them. Show your loved ones that you really care, because talk is cheap and actions is what we actually need, is the evidence to show that you really care, the action and not the words. All right. For me, I am prepared for the Valentine tomorrow, but I'm to expect to me, gift to me, gift to me for the Valentine. And yes, we do hope that we all enjoy the moment. My name is Binitie. Thanks for joining us on the People's Program. The press show is created for you Monday to Friday on this station. All right, we love Nigeria. We love Nigerians. We love you, and we try as much as possible to keep abreast of happenings all around the country. And we appreciate the fact that you call in, on the show. And today we will still want you to do that once the topic, is displayed and the phone lines are open. We expect that you call from all over and be part of the conversation. I miss those who call me from Lagos, from Enugu, my friend from Arochukwu. I have people calling from Delta, from Warri, from Ekboma. People call in from the northern part of the country, the middle belt, Benue, Nasarawa. They call in from Kaduna, Kano, all over Nigeria, Benin City. We're expecting those calls this morning. Call in and be part of the conversation. Yes, we do the show. We start with the front, with the weather report. Then we progress to the front pages before we bring in our guests to analyze the topic for the day. So let us start. We start with Edo State this morning, where I usually love to start on the weather report update. Edo this morning, thunderstorms are expected in the evening in Edo State. However, it's going to be a sunny day this early morning up till 1 p.m. Right now, it is 27 degrees Celsius in Edo State. It will rise to 29 degrees Celsius by 10 a.m. It will rise further to 31 by 11 a.m. By 12 p.m., 32, and by 1 p.m., 33 degrees Celsius. Highs at 34 degrees Celsius and lows at 24. Wind gusts are up to 5 kilometers per hour. Away from Edo, let's take a look at Delta. Delta State this morning, thunderstorms expected around 2 p.m. in the afternoon, but it is 28 degrees Celsius. Delta State too is going to be a sunny day. You can see the sun peeking out of the clouds there. By 10 a.m. it will be 36 degrees Celsius, 30 degrees Celsius. By 11 a.m. it will rise further to 31 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m. 33 degrees Celsius, and by 1 p.m. 34 degrees Celsius. Highs at 35 degrees Celsius and lows at 25. Wind gusts are up to 7 kilometers per hour. All right, we have more states this morning. Let's take a look at Bayelsa. Bayelsa is the next state. Rainy conditions are expected in Bayelsa in the afternoon. However, it is 28 degrees Celsius in Bayelsa this morning, a few minutes past 9 a.m. It's going to be sunny up from 9 a.m. till about 1 p.m. By 10 a.m., it will rise to 30 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 32 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 33, and by 1 p.m., 34. Wind gusts are up to 4 kilometers per hour. Highs at 35 degrees Celsius and lows at 24. Up next is Rivers. Let's take a look at Rivers. Rivers State. Rainy conditions are also expected in Rivers close to evening. Meanwhile, it is 28 degrees Celsius in Rivers State this morning. Just like the two previous states, The early morning up to 1 p.m. will be sunny. By 10 a.m., it will be 30 degrees Celsius in Rivers. By 11, 31 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 33 degrees Celsius. And at 1 p.m., it will remain at that same status of 33 degrees. Highs at 34 degrees Celsius, lows at 24, wind gusts are up to 6 kilometers per hour. All right, let's take a look at Enugu. Enugu, partly cloudy conditions expected around now, around 9 a.m. in Enugu. Meanwhile, it is 27 degrees Celsius in Enugu right now. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 29 degrees Celsius. At 11, it will rise to 30 degrees Celsius. 11 and 12 p.m. is going to be really, really hot, in Enugu. That's what the forecast is giving us this morning. By 12 p.m., it will rise to 32 degrees Celsius, and at 1 p.m., it will remain at that status of 32 degrees Celsius. Wind gusts are up to 17 kilometers per hour, highs at 34 degrees Celsius and lows at 24. All right, let's see if we have Imo. Do we have Imo State this morning? Let's take a look. Yes, we do have Imo. Imo is up next. It is 28 degrees Celsius in Imo right now. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 29 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 31 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 33 degrees Celsius. At 1 p.m., it will rise to 34 degrees Celsius. Highs at 35 degrees Celsius and lows at 24. Wind gusts are up to 7 kilometers per hour. All right, so let's go straight now to Lagos. Let's jet off to Lagos. Let's see what Lagos has for us this morning. Lagos is presenting 29 degrees Celsius. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 30. At 11, 31. At 12 p.m., 32. Maintaining same at 1 p.m. Highs at 32 degrees Celsius and lows at 26. Wind gusts are up to 10 kilometers per hour. All right, let's come back to Abuja home. Let's take a look at Abuja this morning. Sunny conditions expected around 10 a.m. in Abuja. Meanwhile, it is 27 degrees Celsius in Abuja right now. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 29 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 31 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 33 degrees Celsius. And at 1 p.m., 34. Wind gusts are up to 7 kilometers per hour. All right, let's take a look at Niger State. We have Niger State this morning. Partly cloudy conditions will continue all day in Niger. However, it is 28 degrees Celsius right about now in the state. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 31 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 32 degrees Celsius. At 12 p.m., 34. And at 1 p.m., 35. That is the highest we've had this morning. Highs at 37 degrees Celsius and lows at 23. Wind gusts are up to 7 kilometers per hour. Nasarawa State is up next. Sunny conditions expected around now, around 9 a.m., just a few minutes past 9 a.m. in Nasarawa State. It is 29 degrees Celsius. At 10 a.m., it will rise to 31. At 11, 32. At 12 p.m., 34 degrees Celsius. And at 1 p.m., 35. Wind gusts are up to 9 kilometers per hour. Highs at 37 and lows at 25. We have more states for you. Let's take a look at Benue. Let's take a look at Benue right now. Sunny conditions expected around 1 p.m. in Benue State. Meanwhile, it is 29 degrees Celsius in Benue. At 10 a.m., it's going to be 31 degrees Celsius. At 11 a.m., 32. At 12, 34. and at 1 p.m. 36. Benue is going to be hot today. You can see the sun all proud. You can see the sun shining out of the clouds at 1 p.m. today. Highs at 37 degrees Celsius and lows at 26. All right, let's take a look at Katsina. We have Katsina this morning. Katsina, it is 24 degrees Celsius in Katsina. 10 a.m. it will rise to 28 degrees at 11:31, at 12:33, and at 1 p.m. 35. Highs at 36, lows at 18. Wind gusts are up to 18 kilometers per hour. That is huge. All right, let's move on now to Jos. We have the weather update for Jos. It is 25 degrees Celsius in Jos. By 10 a.m. it will rise to 28, 11 a.m. 30, 12 p.m. 31, 1 p.m. it will remain at that status. Highs at 32, lows at 16. Wind gusts are up to 10 kilometers per hour. Partly cloudy conditions expected around 11 a.m. All right, let's take a look at Kano. Kano is up next. We have Kano this morning. It is 23 degrees Celsius in Kano. At 10 a.m. it will rise to 27, 11 a.m. 30, 12 p.m. 32, 1 p.m. 33. Wind gusts are up to 12 kilometers per hour. Highs at 35 and lows at 18. We have Kaduna this morning. Let's take a look at Kaduna as we round off on this. Kaduna this morning. Let's take a look. It's 25 degrees Celsius in Kaduna. 10 a.m. we'll see it rise to 29 degrees Celsius. 11 a.m. 32, 12 p.m. 33, and 1 p.m. 35. Wind gusts are up to 23 kilometers per hour. Highs at 36 and lows at 19 degrees Celsius. All right, that is our weather update this morning. We're about to move on now to the front pages of our papers. And this morning, where to start? Let's start from the Vanguard. Let's start from the Vanguard newspaper. I have the Vanguard. It says, my father treated, okay, let's start. It says, 50 years after Murtala Mohammed, my father treated corruption as an emergency, not talking point. Haisha Mohammed Oyebode. That's on page 12 and 16 or 15 of the Vanguard newspaper. Above the mast, power outage looms amid scheduled power plants maintenance. Page 19. U.S. accuses Chinese miners of funding terrorists in Nigeria. I'll take that again. U.S. accuses Chinese miners of funding terrorists in Nigeria. China embassy debunks allegations. ADC should consider Southerner for 2027 presidency. Amechi. INEC 873 naira for 2027 polls proposes 171 billion naira 2026 budget. This is our focus this morning, and we do want you to be part of our discussion once the phone lines are opened. Expect my guests to be here, 2 guests, full house, so we can discuss back and forth and get the opinions all round. We want to take a look at over 1 trillion naira budget proposed by INEC, and of course we want to balance it with happenings in the nation, and my focus is a look at the rise in the poverty index in the country. We need to take a look at that. INEC has told us that they need all this monies to ensure credible election in 2027. We want to take a look at a rise in election cost. We want to talk about it. Of course, discuss other issues that affect us as Nigerians. Again, I called an appeal that you do call in. We want to hear your voices this morning. We want to feel the pulse of Nigerians on issues like this. Um, True, the guests coming on the show are Nigerians, but again, we need those voices to be heard as we hear the voice of the people, because the people indeed hold the power. All right, so we need you this morning to call in and be part of the conversation. Still on the Vanguard this morning, security agents attempt to arrest El Rufai at Abuja airport. Workers lay siege to NAFDAC office over sachet alcohol ban enforcement. Okay. Malami, judge recuses self, returns case file to CJ for reassignment. All right. That's how much we can take on the Vanguard this morning. Let's move on. We have more papers. Let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune this morning. Mina visit at Atiku Falls Fayoshe dismisses his claim as bare parlor tales of infamy. Page 3. Dangote refinery achievement could push Naira below 1,000 Naira to a US dollar before December. Otedola. Dangote refinery achievement could push Naira below 1,000 Naira to a US dollar before December, says Otedola. That indeed will be welcoming. Well, we wait to see if indeed we get this achieved. Well, our hope is that the Naira drops further compared to the US dollar below 1,000 Naira, a situation where we get back to 400, 470 the way and even lower. That is our prayers for the situation. El Rufai will report to EFCC Monday. Council condemns attempts to arrest him at Abuja airport. U.S. Religious Freedom Bill Kwankwasia movement cries foul. Gunmen kidnapped 12-year-old female student in Ibadan. INEC'S N873.7BN Naira for 2027 polls. Africa can sustain democracies without young leaders, says Jonathan. Murtala's assassination forced Nigeria to rejig security architecture of Obasanjo. NADDC launches service charter. DG calls for renewed commitment to local manufacturing, industrial self-reliance. Next paper, This Day newspaper. Let's take a look at This Day newspaper. It says INEC needs 873.7 billion Naira to deliver credible 2027 elections. Amopiton tells National Assembly. Page 8. All right, let's move on to the matrix. The matrix this morning. INEC's 873 billion Naira election budget proposal inside Nigeria's rising election cost. From 66 billion Naira in 2021 to 313 billion Naira in 2023, Nigeria's rising election costs chronicled says it is separate from statutory 171 billion Naira budget for 2026 operations. Kuka challenges INEC on clean elections ahead of 2027. Page 2. Above the mass, BOI disbursed record 636 billion Naira loans to 7,000 businesses in 2025. Chinedumuije. Rivers of crisis, days after peace deal for Barra dissolves cabinet. Atiku Makinde 2027 ticket, Fayoshe, ex-vice president camp in war of words. Atiku's team denies secret talks with Makinde, labels Fayoshe's claim bare parlor talk. Fayose vows to spill more secret in 48 hours. If, please do. We want to hear the secrets. All right. Jonathan advocates for leaders aged 25 to 50 citing energy resilience. Attempted arrest of El Rufai unlawful, unconstitutional, says legal counsel demands apology. And on entertainment, Wizkid slams to Baba for banking Burna Boy above him globally. For ranking Burna Boy above him globally. Shatima leaves for Ethiopia to represent Tinubu at AU summit. All right, let's move on to the Daily Monitor. The Daily Monitor this morning, Daily Monitor 2027, Atiku Makinde camps tackle Fayose over Vice President negotiation claim. We have two riders, ex-Ekiti governors claim reckless and malicious fabrication, says Atiku's side, or Atiku's aide. Fayose's comment baseless, divisive tale from the master of mischief himself, Makinde's ally. That is politics for you. And tomorrow, when they find themselves in an event, they shake hands, they hug each other, they slap each other's backs, and Nigerians at the end of the day will just sit back and watch. Nigerian politics is a case study. INEC proposes to spend 873 billion naira to conduct 2027 elections. INEC lacks capacity to conduct e-voting, says the Senate. All right, let us move on to the Voice of Liberty. The Voice of Liberty this morning is a sad one. 4,654 killed, 3,141 kidnapped in Nigeria in 1 year, according to report. Voice of Liberty. 2027, it'll be hard to sell northern candidate to southern votes, says Amechi. I'll resign if Abuja Kaduna Kano Road project fails quality test, Omahi vows. We're going to hold you to your words, sir. Beavers doesn't require internet on election day, says Yakubu. Kano government writes federal government seeking to stop Kwankwemso from coming to Kano. Buba Galadima. Nigeria's crude oil output rises to 1.459 million barrels per day in January. I'll say that again. Nigeria's crude oil output rises to 1.459 million barrels per day in January. Aston Villa to exit National Grid by March, State House. All right, let's move on to the next paper. The Nigerian, let's take a look at the Nigerian. Kaduna stakeholders push for fiscal transparency to strengthen girls' education. Unduma protests omission of Borno roads from 2026 legacy budget. Insecurity, a Boeing government celebrates success as 14 are convicted for various offenses. Nigerians looking onto ADC to deliver them from insecurity, other menace, or your chairman. Let's look at the Daily Sun. The Daily Sun, Bishop Cooker cries out, says criminals soliciting money in his name, innocent persons parted with millions of naira. INEC has the control over network infrastructure for transmission of results, says Mopiton. I hope it is part of the budget. Network infrastructure definitely should be part of the budget. This 1 trillion naira budget proposed by INEC. I suppose network infrastructure is part of it, or is that something different? Another budget entirely? Because that is what it implies here. INEC has no control over network infrastructure for transmission of results, proposes for 2027. United Nigeria Airlines unveils expansion plans. Why account owner EFCC invite El-Rufai. Labour Party crisis gets messier as party chair NLC demand Abure's rearrest. Igbo youth applaud Carlo's advocacy for electronic transmission of election results. All right, let's take a look at the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust this morning, El-Rufai's airport drama rekindles crackdown claims. Workers abandon FCT Health Center over banditry. United Nigeria to acquire 11 aircraft, begin flights to Jeddah. Murtala Mohammed, fading eyewitnesses, lingering memories, a special publication. Tinubu will decide on e-transmission of election results, says aide. Jonathan Akume differ on age requirement for leadership. Blueprint. Let's take a look at Blueprint. The Blueprint this morning, the screaming headline says, 2027 polls, why INEC can guarantee e-transmission of results. A Mopiton. Illegal miners protest claims security operatives in Niger. Illegal miners protest claims security operatives. Let me get this right. Illegal miners protest claims security operative in Niger. Okay, I got it right then. All right, let's move on to Friday leadership. Friday leadership this morning. I think as we begin to round up, we have 2 more papers to go. At Leadership Conference Awards, credible elections, good governance take center stage. Abuja gears up to host Pan-African Gov Extravaganza All-African Challenge Trophy. Judge withdraws from EFCC cases against Malami. All right, let's take a look at sports this morning. Sports is our last paper. Punch, Sports Extra. This morning, Simijele Adiagbo exclusive, my journey from track to ice. We have more stories on the front page, and of course, inside story on sports. If you're interested, grab your copy now. And that is our last paper this morning, our front pages. We'll take a break to bring in our guests this morning as we take a look at issues concerning us. Stay with us.
You can't afford to miss the press with guests so knowledgeable and articulate.
By World Human Rights Index and Rules of Law shows that Nigeria was ranked 142 in terms of insecurity.
What of the issue of Mahmoud Yakub?
Join us Mondays to Fridays for in-depth analysis from the front page of our national dailies.
And Igbo Group in U.S. Fault Candles continue trial, and that's on page 27 for your readers this morning.
From the heart of the National Assembly to the pulse of the presidency.
I rise to second this motion as moved by my brother Ali Jesse.
And we will work with you.
Breaking news on politics, the economy, business, education, entertainment. No matter the focus, our guests are on ground to do justice on topical issues.
Up on the front page of The Guardian, it says Trump's warning unsettles Nigeria, raises concern over religion and sovereignty.
It's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge to us in Nigeria.
On The Press, every headline is dissected and every fact scrutinized.
Start your day right. Join us on The Press this morning.
Yes, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on the press as we're about to begin on our discussion in the studio. And if you can see my smile, yes, I'm glad to let you know that I have a full house this morning. This morning, we're taking a look at the topic 2027 election, INEC'S 873.7 billion naira proposal vis-a-vis rising poverty analysis. As usual, let me start with my own analysis before I introduce my guest to you this morning. Now, for credible elections in 2027, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has proposed a sum of 873.7 billion naira to the National Assembly, even as a 171 billion naira to fund its operations in the 2026 fiscal year. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amopitan made the disclosure while presenting the Commission's 2026 budget proposal and projected costs for the 2027 general elections before the National Assembly Joint Committee on Electoral Matters in Abuja. According to Amopitan, the 873.78 billion naira election budget covers the full conduct of national polls in 2027. While adding that an additional 171 billion naira is needed to support INEC's routine activities in 2026, including by-elections and off-season elections. The senator, or the senior advocate of Nigeria, says the proposed election budget does not include a fresh request from the National Youth Service Corps seeking increased allowances for copper or corps members engaged as ad hoc staff during elections. He explained that although the details of specific line items were not exhaustively presented, the almost 1 trillion naira election budget is structured across 5 major components. Vis-a-vis this budget, amongst other issues, the PwC's Nigeria Economic Outlook 2026 says at least 141 million Nigerians are expected to be living in poverty this year. According to the report titled Turning Macroeconomic Stability into Sustainable Growth, projected deteriorating poverty levels of about 62% of the population in the year preceding the election is expected. All right, this is my analysis. Now let me do the introduction. Today in the house I have with us Professor Christopher Chinedumuije, is a social commentator, is a professor of disaster management and humanitarian studies, and the country director, Go Prime Organization Nigeria. It's so nice to have you on the show once again this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Yes. And my other guest, Abubakar Mohammed Chadi, is also a social affairs analyst. He has a BSc in economics and masters in human resources. It's so nice to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you, Madam. Good morning. Madam Anire, good morning. KAFTAN family, good morning, Nigerians.
Yes, indeed. So, gentlemen, once again, Nigeria on our mind as we take a look at unveiling, breaking situations in the nation. And this morning, what do we have? We want to take a look at INEC, away from controversial amendment bills to INEC at the center of discussion again this morning. And we're taking a look at INEC's proposal for credible elections. Yes, rising costs of election is what we want to take a look at this morning, from 66 billion naira in 2011 to 313 billion naira in 2023. Nigeria's rising election costs has been chronicled, and this is too much. If you put together the total cost of what INEC is asking for, it's running into 1.7 billion naira. Aside the cost for the elections for 2027, they also have internal costs for 2026. If you listen to my analysis, there's another cost for core members who work as ad hoc staff. That is totally different. And again, the papers this morning, Mopiton was actually telling us, well, I'm a Nigerian, so that they do not have infrastructure for network, as it were. So this is so much. And when you take a look at all these costs, the Nigerian on the street is holding his head. Again, poverty stares us at the face, and we still do not have solutions to them, to situations that arise from these circumstances in court. So we're going to be taking a look at all of this morning. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Abubakar. Rising cost of elections, you know, from the statistics given from 2011 up till now, it is huge indeed. But Mopiton has told us that he needs all this money for credible election. Let's start by discussing this, you know, rise in election costs in the country.
Well, good morning. Election is not the only thing that the cost is rising. Many things in Nigeria, the cost of many things is rising, and election 2027 election cost. People are complaining since that figure is out. If you consider, we have 774 local governments across the 36 states, plus Abuja. We have over 70,000 polling units, 8,809 votes. So I think the cost is not the problem. The problem is, are they going to conduct credible elections, even if the money is there? Are they going to conduct credible elections? And if you look at the cost, operational cost cover more than 40% of that amount, and the technology-related covers around 23 or more than 20%. So between technology-related cost and the operational cost covers more than 60% of the total amount. And people are talking about election, what I want to say is people are talking about sending come with it for me now.
E-transmission.
E-transmission. So, you know, without technology, that thing is not possible. So I think maybe I didn't go through it a lot, but I think credible election is what we need, not the cost
itself. All right, thank you very much. We've started our discussion this morning as we take a look at the topic, 2027 election, INEC'S 873.7 billion proposal. And of course, we want to match that with rising poverty in the nation. If you take a total of the costs that INEC has given to us for credible election, internal and external, it's running into 1.7 trillion naira. That's a huge budget, you will say. Our first guest has given us his opening analysis. Let's move on now to my second guest as we seek your opinion on the rising cost of election. Mopiton has told us it needs this huge amount of money to ensure credible election. Abubakar has told us that the cost is not what determines the credibility of the election. What Nigerians need is credible elections. Again, it did say that this is not the only thing that is rising in the nation. We have huge costs of governance in the nation, and of course we need to take a look holistically at this. So I would want your own analysis on these huge amount of money being given, you know, laid side by side what Abubakar said, that the money is not what will determine credibility of the 2027 election. I don't know what you have to say.
Yeah, thank you so much once again for having me. Most times when I look at different analyses on this matter, most times I laugh. First, we have to differentiate between INEC's 2026 budget from the elections budget. All right. Now we have the elections budget at 873 billion, 0.7 billion. Now the question should be, is it an increased budget? Because I hear you comparing the budget for 2011, and also was it 2015 or 2011?
2011.
2011 and also that of 2023. Now we should ask ourselves, what is the rate of the dollar
then and now?
So when you do the Naira to dollar comparison, you realize that it's almost the same.
Okay.
The same range.
We've just been told, I'm sorry, Prof, we've just been told that we need to go on a short break. We'll be right back after that. Yes, welcome back. These things happen, and yes, when they happen, we try as much as possible to handle the situation, and I'm glad to let you know that it's been handled. I'm going to go back again, asking the question or waiting for the response from the Prof to let us, understand his take on the rising cost of election. So, Prof, you have to start all over again because we have some issues with your mic.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. And when we look, I said first we need to differentiate between the INEC'S 2026 budget and the 2027 elections budget. All right. And also comparing it with previous years, 2023. 2023 was 600 and something billion, right? And the Naira to dollar was about 400 and something. All right, now it's almost like 3 times the value. So when we're looking at the dollar value of the budget, we see that the cost has really not increased. Okay, and also we also need to look at another indices. We look at the cost per beneficiary. All right, for running this election. We expect that by 2027, with the level of advocacies that are currently being done, sensitizations and all that for increased number of Nigerians to participate in the voting, all right, we're expecting at least not less than 25 million Nigerians to vote by 2027. And when you do the cost per beneficiary of that amount, it's roughly about 3,500 per beneficiary.
Per beneficiary.
Yes.
You've done your mathematics.
Yes, I've done it already. All right, 3,500. So look at the cost for 3,500 for one person's voting, the logistics, the paper, and everything. You see, it's really, really not huge money. But when we don't break this data down and we just go work with the figure, in Nigeria, billion sounds so much. All right, and also comparing Nigeria is about 237 million people. All right, now when you compare to the United States of America, the elections, the presidential election of the U.S. is between $2 to $3 billion. All right, so compare that with this. $1 billion is about 1.4 trillion naira. So this is even less than $1 billion, almost by half, like 60% of $1 billion. So Nigeria's election budget, let's say roughly, will be around 30% of the United States election budget. All right, so these are the things we look at before we begin to react emotionally and what have you.
Okay. But the question I want to ask is that how come everything we do in Nigeria financially, we have to equate the same to the US dollar? Why do we have to keep doing that? That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah. One of the reasons is that most times, while we are encouraging local production and local everything, you understand, but we still need to accept the reality that most times procurements are not done locally. Yeah. Like if we're talking about gadgets and what have you, gadgets are not produced locally. There will be procured abroad and imported. And when you're procuring abroad, you're not procuring in Naira, you're procuring in USD. So we need to factor that in until we have maximum production capacity in-house, that we say, oh, we can procure in Nigeria locally. That is when we may take dollar out of the question. Like the Dangote refinery that is producing now locally. Now, to marketers and everything, crude oil is sold in local currency. But as long as we have to go beyond the border to make procurement, dollar must come into that question, that conversation.
Okay, interesting. Now, I'm going back to Abubakar because you started by telling us about the credibility of elections. Up front, you told us, you know, the money is huge, but at the end of the day, you do not believe that the monies will guarantee how credible the elections will be. I would really want you to explain further for us, especially talking about the credibility of elections in Nigeria. 2027 is just around the corner, is just a click of the finger away. You talked about the need for us to focus on credible elections beyond the amount given. In your opinion, what are the things, in your opinion, you think we need to take a look at to ensure that we have credible election in 2027?
Well, as we said last 2 weeks, credible elections is very, very important, because unless our elections are credible, Nigerians will not accept anything less than credible election. When we have credible elections, our leaders will be respected more. The electorates, our masses will always see the leaders with value. And then, as I said earlier, the international community will respect us, that we conduct credible elections. We will be, at least, even our economy, when we have credible election, we will have, even our economy will not be the way it is now. At least our economy will be positively good. And then when we have credible election, it reduces the litigation issues, the issues of courts. When you have credible election, if there is credible election, nobody will be running to court for any legal issue. And even the political parties, they would agree that when there is credible election, even the political party, especially the opposition, they would believe in the process and they will believe in the election. So all we are asking is credible election, and I think maybe 2027 will be different from the previous elections.
Now you have a lot on education, especially in the north. You have a lot about the enlightenment of the northern youth, as it were, as being part of Nigeria. The elections are coming again. With that passion that you have, I would want you to throw more light on how, you know, we can actually send this message, you know, across to the youth to, you know, participate, you know, bring in their own ideas, you know, in looking towards ensuring that the credibility you talk about is achieved come 2027.
You're talking of the sensitization?
Yes.
Yes, we said we talk about National Orientation Agency. We say the National Orientation Agency need to do more in orienting our people from local governments, states, wards, villages, and even our traditional rulers have to come in and enlighten our people. And also the politicians should forget about sitting in Abuja and talking about election. Let them go and sensitize their people. Let them go and sanitize, and especially the north. Talk of all these sheikhs, the Tahir Bauchi, the Sheikh Balalau, Sheikh Kabir Gombe, Professor Idris Ali Pantami, all these professors, all these people, who amongst them is the product of Al-Majiri. So let them tell our people that the Al-Majiri system is not Islam. Let them stop sending their children to Al-Majiri. Let us train our children. Let us educate our children. Let us sensitize our society. This problem of Al-Majiri, this issue of illiteracy is bringing a lot of issues in the north. And if you talk, a lot of people start attacking you that you are attacking Islam. Al-Majiri is not Islam. There are many countries, Malaysia, Bangladesh, Singapore, not Singapore, Indonesia, Saudi Arabia, Morocco, Egypt, Algeria, all these are Muslim countries with 80%, 90% population of Muslims. Who are they sending their children to Al-Majri to go and study to Al-Majri system? Let's stop that. Let's sensitize our people. Let's sensitize our communities. Let the National Orientation Agency do their own part. Let the sheikhs, imams do their own part. Let ward heads, village heads, the traditional rulers, let them do their own part. Let the politicians also do their own part. Let us sanitize our system. Let us sanitize our communities.
Thank you so much. We'll take a break. So when we return, we'll open the phone lines. Please get your phones ready and make sure you call in and be part of the conversation. Stay with us. Yes, it is the press. Please, we can now post the phone line so viewers can call in and be part of the conversation this morning. As we take a look at 2027 election, INEC'S 873.7 billion naira proposal vis-a-vis rising poverty analysis. Do call in. The phone lines are right there. Be part of the conversation. Yes, before the break, Abubakar was actually letting us understand some of the problems faced in the north and calling on sensitization, calling on education and reorientation of the northern youth. It is no attack on Islam. It is a call for change. It's a call for education, which is the light of the mind. Education in any nation is the light to that nation, and all must learn. Now, the same Prof, I want to ask, he has set the ball rolling, calling for credible elections. He says that no amount of money will determine how credible an election will be. It takes a lot for that to happen. Not just INEC, everyone's hands must be on deck. Collectively as Nigerians, we must determine for success. So I don't know if you agree with him that the money is aside, the money is not enough to guarantee the credibility of any election, especially the 2027 election.
You know, INEC's duty is to organize the election, to facilitate the election to happen, but it's the duty of the people to ensure that the election is credible. All right.
How so?
Because it's INEC. It's not INEC that rigs election. It's the people that rig election. All right. It's what you give to INEC that it will announce. Does it have the minimum infrastructure to ensure that elections happen in a credible way? Yes, you have the voters card, you do the sensitization, you have people go to the polling booth. Now you have the electronic transmission of the approved, authorized result at the polling unit. So now it means that elections, even if they are going to be rigged, they are going to be rigged at the polling unit. All right, and whatever the INEC chairman collates at the end of the season is whatever they bring to him, that is what he will announce. All right, so if you now have issues with what he has announced, you go and prove it in court. You are not going to go prove it in INEC office. All right, so the people must decide to say, oh, this election, we want it to be credible. I'm not going to be a party to any call to rig, any call to compromise the process and the rest of them. You see, in Nigeria, even when the oppositions are shouting, rigging, when you go to their different constituents and their agents and the rest of them, the meetings they hold pre-election, they also talk about how they are going to boycott or mess up the process at the polling unit level. So it's about Nigerians now. Nigerians decide that you want free, fair, and credible election. It's not by carrying placard. It's about deciding, saying, I'm going back to my ward where I vote. I will ensure that the votes are done in a good way. The results are counted. all the polling agents verify the result, it is signed off, and it is transmitted electronically to the polling, the collation center. And where network does not permit, we will have our copies as evidence. Yes, our hard copies, transmit a copy of our own hard copies to our agent at the collation center to ensure that whatever they receive there is what matches what they have at the polling unit. So if every of the stakeholders, because we are all stakeholders now, play their own part, elections will not be rigged.
Okay, we've talked so much about INEC and, of course, the proposal. Again, we've talked about the figures. Now let's take a look at the mind of the Nigerian, the psyche of the Nigerian. You've come here, you've helped us break the figures in terms of the money. We're talking 1 trillion, 1.7 trillion. And, you know, when the common man on the street hears that, it's like they've come again. And most of the reason why this agitation, this feeling of hopelessness rises is the poverty in the land. We keep seeing figures like this. The federal government gives us statistics, and we get numbers. And when we try to match these numbers of improvement with reality on ground, it doesn't match. And we can't stop talking about our situation as Nigerians, which is high cost of living and rise in poverty. You know, so Abubakar, let's talk about the rising, beside rising cost of elections, we have rising cost of poverty. It appears nothing is changing in terms of a standard of living. It appears the figures we hear of the improvements being made economically is still not reflecting in the lives of Nigerians. So let us talk about it. Beside the elections, the professor just told us we are the stakeholders. We are the Nigerians who will go out to vote. But staring us daily is the reality that we face. We can't take our children to the schools that we want to. We can't feed. We can't pay rent. We can't even pay electricity bills, which keeps rising. My friend in NEPA, in quote, just told me that the tariffs have gone up again because I loaded and I saw that the meter was still blinking red. So I had a call, and it said 2 reasons. Is either, I said, no, madam, let me just tell you, the tariffs have gone up again. So probably the amount you used to load, and it will go green. Since the tariff has gone up, it is still blinking red. You need to pay more so you can see green if that is the issue. Let's take a look at rising poverty in the land and, of course, solutions that you can give to. We're not talking government now. We're facing Nigerians, how to survive the situation the best way possible.
Well, the best way possible is to copy the people of the Southeast. The people of the Southeast have the lower dependency ratio. I think in the North and the North Central, the Northwest, Northeast, I think the dependency ratio is so high. So people are depending so high on their relatives. I think that's what brought poverty. Let me give you one scenario. Around 2008, 2009, I was in Akwa Ibom. I was serving there. I was with my colleagues from Katsina, Jigawa, KB, Sokoto. We were sitting down and we saw an analysis. Then Solodu was a CBN governor. So Solodu gave a statistics of poverty rate. And the Southeast have the lower poverty rate of around 23% there. So my colleagues, they were saying, look at this Igbo man. He favors his zone. So I was like sleeping. I woke up. I said, please, guys, let us be fair. Let's just see. We go to Aba. We go to Owerri. We go to all these Southeast, even in the South, even in Akwa Ibom. Look at where we are now. Look at our people here that we are with them. People doesn't depend on salary. People go out to hustle. People learn skills. People trade. So in the house, a mother has something doing, the father has something doing, the children have something doing. So economically, at the end of the month, look at their per capita, look at their income, their individual income. Now, the individual income, look, the house will not be poor. Collectively, the environment will not be poor. But compare that one to the north, whereby a single person maybe is earning 200,000 or 300,000. He has up to 10 or 15 dependents that doesn't do anything. They are just depending on this person. So let us be fair. Let's reduce the dependency ratio. Let us hustle. Let each and every one of us raise up, train his children, learn skills, learn trading, do businesses. Let the government come in. The only thing we need from the government is the infrastructure. Let the government give us infrastructure. Let the government give us security. Because if there is security, people will go out to trade. But if there is no security, people cannot go even to their farms. People cannot go to their shops. People will be robbed. So the dependency ratio is our problem, the high dependency ratio. Let's reduce the dependency ratio.
Indeed. All right, Prof, how do we're taking a look at the solution to poverty. We're not looking to government this time, we're looking to ourselves. How do we, what opinion, what suggestion do you have this morning for the Nigerian who keeps hearing these figures, who keeps expecting so much from government and never getting, in quote, as it were? How do we reduce poverty within ourselves?
Yes, aside from working hard to lift yourself to ensure that you're not income poor.
Let's break that down.
Yes. You know, when we talk about poverty in Nigeria, most times we have the wrong definition of poverty. We just think about income poor. How much are you earning? Those earning below $2.15 a day income poor. Like that is the ultra poor. But when we want to look at poverty at the national context, what we should be looking at is multidimensional poverty.
What does that mean?
All right. Multidimensional poverty is speaking to access. All right. Because if you don't have access to the basic social services, no matter how much you make, you understand, you are also very poor. All right. Most times in Nigeria, most of the things we parade as luxury lifestyle is multidimensional poverty in action. You can have $1 million in your account and still be multidimensionally poor, because when you travel to your village, you understand, where there is no functioning health facility,
good roads,
there is no good road, there is no security, there is no water, you understand, there is no light, and you now fall sick at midnight, an emergency at midnight, the money cannot treat you. All right. Even if they take you to the health facility there, the health facility is shut down, there's nobody there. You are going to die because you were poor. You understand? You couldn't have access to health care when you needed health care. If you have to send your child abroad to go and study because you do not trust the education system in Nigeria or in your village, you understand, you are also your education poor. You understand? So that means why you are looking for quality education
outside Nigeria.
Outside. So we really need to get the right definition about poverty and multidimensional poverty, which is looking at access. In the country, we have what we call the MPI, the multidimensional poverty indicators. For Nigeria, we have about 15 indicators.
Only Nigeria?
Yes, cutting across health, education, sanitation, security, infrastructure, and everything. And if we are not meeting those indicators as Nigerians, we are a poor country, irrespective of how much we have. You don't have access to energy, you will sink a poor borehole in your house because you don't have access to pipe-borne water. You are poor. It doesn't matter how much you have. So having this understanding, we are able to also hold our representatives, our government, our leadership, and even ourselves accountable. All right? Because when you're given a contract to construct a road that links the farm to the market and you embezzle the money, you are worse than what? Government. You ought to go to jail because you have deprived the farmers in your community access to the market where they can go and sell their product and have good income, return on investment. As our representatives too, when they say they are doing constituency project and the rest of them, and they're sharing palliatives instead of building systems, ensuring the education system work, ensuring there is pipe-borne water, ensuring there is road and all that, they are also doing what? They are also ensuring that they are contributing to our poverty. When state governors withhold local government allocations and cripple local governments, that local governments are enabled to function. The primary health care center is not functioning, the LEAs are not functioning. If you even go to local government education secretariat, you would think is an abandoned cantonment. You understand? Because there are no facilities there, they don't have water, they don't have everything. That means the governor is contributing to Nigeria's poverty. Do you understand? So we need to look at this so we know where and who we hold accountable per time. Like I always say, we are all stakeholders in this, but being a good stakeholder requires that you have the right understanding of what the context is. That is when you're able to make the right call.
In addition to that, but what you are saying is that we need to change our behaviors. We need to change the way we are behaving, because if government alone are doing their part, and we in the Nigerians are not doing their part. We are the government. If government are providing infrastructure, then we change our behavior. Last year I was in one of the states in Nigeria where the governor is performing well, giving electricity to schools, to hospitals, constructing roads. But like the people of the states are not happy, because they are saying that this man, is it this thing that we will eat? That let him share money for us. That the previous governors have been sharing money, and this governor is now doing this thing for us. We don't like it. So unless we change our behavior, government cannot do anything for us. So when government are doing their part, then we change our own behavior. Because if we are disciplined and we are good people, even the government cannot take us for granted. And then when the local governments are functioning, I think even the state government and the federal government has less to do. Because if the 774 local governments are functioning well, that is where 90% of the Nigerians are.
That is where they live.
Where they live. So the state government will have less to do. They will have less pressure. Even the federal government will have less pressure. So unless local government autonomy is implemented, and not implemented on paper, let it be implemented in reality, so that at least our people live. Even this insecurity is related to local government, lack of local government funding. Because 1999 to 2003, when local government were constructing roads, local government were building hospitals, they were getting enough money, things were not as bad as it is now. But local governments are dry now. At the end of the month, the governor will just maybe, some local government chairman will come and sign hundreds of millions, and maybe the governor will end up just giving him salary of the local government, and maybe with even 5 million or 10 million for the government, and he has signed for maybe like 300 million or 400 million for the local government. So the money is going into the contractors, and even our contractors. We are the contractors, the Nigerians. Let's change our mind. A contractor must do what is expected of him to do, not to share money or to continue giving tipping government officials just to write sign papers and then abandon the projects.
All right, 2027 is around the corner. As we're about to, the time we really tried on the show. 2027 elections, a lot has been done towards the election time. I just want to ask here, I don't know if it's too soon to ask, what's your mindset generally, on the 2027 election? What are your expectations, as it were, with all that has happened, with all that is happening as a Nigerian? What's your outlook? What's your expectation towards the 2027 election?
For me, the 2027 election, it's Nigerians should not be emotional about the 2027 elections. When the time for campaign, when it's time for campaign, Nigerians should not also be sentimental or fanatical. All right, you vote based on those who are able to provide evidence on how they will do what they are telling you they will do. All
evidence.
Right? Yes.
Very important.
Yes, right? On how they will do what they are telling you. Because most times because Nigerian people feel Nigerians are too emotional and all that, so they create a castle in the sky, you understand, and tell you, oh, you say Naira is at 1,400 and something now, right? And you are going to bring it down. It shouldn't end that you're going to bring it down. Nigerians should ask, how are you going to bring it down?
That's the evidence.
Yes, and what's the timeline for bringing it down? You say you want health, you want to do health reforms. What are the specific health reforms and what's the timeline? And how are you going to get the funding to even implement and sustain the health reform? Because most times these guys come up with helicopter promises and whatever. And when you give them power, they really don't even know what to do. All right. We once had a change manifesto that disappeared the moment it got there. We had a transformation agenda. We had the 6-point agenda. You had that of Obasanjo. People keep voting, and when you look at our election history, all right, you see the government, the succeeding government, is always becomes more terrible than the previous government. All right, you see Nigerians now complain, but it's Nigerians that voted them, you know. But after like 6 months, they're now telling you, oh, the one we voted out is the Messiah we shouldn't have.
Prof, in addition to that, let people also you talk about emotions. Let people also know that majority of these politicians are going for their interest. So if it may be party A, now you are in party A and you are thinking that these people that are in party B are bad people. They were in party A before.
Yes.
So let us at least forget about these elites. They are elites. Their children marry each other. They are friends, even if they are fighting or in open this thing. They behind the scene they are together.
I said the same thing, you know, when I was doing the front pages with Fayose and, you know, the latest Atiku Fayose camp, Atiku's camp and Fayose's camp. I did tell Nigerians that, you know, we should look beyond this. When they meet themselves at parties, they still shake hands, they hug each other, they tap each other on the back.
Yes, and
so we have to be wary.
If I can see even the last 4 years, people that are calling themselves names, they are now together. Some of them are in group A, and others are in group B. So let us not shine our eye and forget. And an ordinary man cannot go and marry an ex-governor's daughter. So it is an ex-governor, an ex-senator, ex-House of Representatives. They marry together, they dance together, they are together behind the scene. And the masses should not fight, should not pick up their fight.
In 2019, President Buhari contested against Vice President Atiku, and President Buhari won the elections. And when Yusuf Buhari was getting married, it was Vice President Atiku that was the father of the day. In fact, it was Yusuf's father in that ceremony. So for them, it's about hustle.
Yeah,
so
even the recent this Atiku's son that defected to APC, Abba, during his wedding, like maybe 15, 16 years ago, President Tinubu was there at the wedding. The picture is circulating. So they are together. They are friends. They cannot hate each other. So let us understand this so for our own good.
Okay, we're almost rounding up the way we do it. I'm starting with Abubakar. We've talked about a lot today. We talked about the INEC rising cost of election. We talked about rising poverty in Hausa. Please, let's talk to our people. And of course, your expectation for the 2027 election. Please say something.
So, Jama, assalamu alaikum. mun yi magana mun tattauna maganan wai kudaden da aka aikace kusan biliyan 800 ya kusan biliyan 900 wanda ake so a yi amfani da shi a zaɓuɓɓukan da za su zo nan gaba shekara ta 2027. To amma mu matsalar mu da abinda muka tattauna muka ce shine ba wai kudin ne matsala ba, a'a a yi zaɓe sahihin zaɓe mutane su amince da shi, 'yan Najeriya su yadda da shi, saboda a samu gwamnati da amintacciyar gwamnati wanda za ta lura da talakawa, wanda za ta kawo ma talakawa ci gaba, sannan kuma talakawa su daina daukan fadan manya, su daina daukan fadan 'yan siyasa. Su 'yan siyasa suna nan tare daban, su kuma talakawa suna nan tare daban. Duk abin da talaka yake so shine dan siyasa ko gwamnati ta kawo mishi ci gaba, ta kawo mishi tsaro, a daina kashe-kashe. Abin da muke nema kenan.
Thank you so much, and of course our professor. Please, let's round up on all that we've said. Please talk to your people.
Okay, ndị Igbo ekene munu. Nke a anyị na-aba 2027 election kita. Ife nchọrọ egwu unu niile egwu na unu ga polling units. Unu make ya sure na unu họrọ onye unu ma ga-edozi Nigeria ọfụma. Unu gbadakwa anya.
All right. I want to thank my guest this morning, Professor Christopher Chinedumuije, who is a social commentator, and of course Abubakar Mohammed, Chadi, a social affairs analyst. We want to appreciate you, KAFTAN, and of course I appreciate you for taking time to be here for the analysis this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank
and
you.
Of course, my guests on the flip side, on the other side, who did not call but watched the show, I appreciate you so much for watching the show. Bear in mind that this program was created for you. Of course, everyone behind the camera, I want to thank you this morning. Biodun Bright, everyone who made production possible. Habib, thank you so much. Gani, thank you so much. For Sam. Oh, Sam. Thank you so much for making production possible. Of course, I said Bright. All right, this is the show this morning. I'll leave by telling you that this is where we call home. Nigeria is yours. Nigeria is mine. Collectively, let us make the nation great. My name is Anire, Binitie. Enjoy the rest of your day. And happy Valentine's tomorrow.